Australia's national cancer. We have some of the worst rates in the world, but we also have some of the best researchers. And Georgina Long, Professor Georgina Long, the former Australian of the Year, who has been the lead investigator in this phase 3 clinical trial, is not just doing great things for our country, but obviously achieving something that will be really significant for the whole world. She'll be presenting the results, as I understand it, in the next several weeks at an international conference, but this is the first phase 3 trial to demonstrate the ability of an mRNA therapy in combination with Keytruda, which is a well-known immunotherapy in the cancer area, to provide effective treatment for melanoma. This is incredibly exciting, particularly for a country that deals with and faces the challenge of such significant melanoma rates as Australia does, but it's a globally significant contribution to medical science.
Minister, can Australians be confident in this Zoladex alternative that's been going to be added to the PBS? And are you concerned that more big drug companies might go the way of AstraZeneca and pull their vaccines and medications from Australia because they're concerned about low cost base?
Yeah, I think we've been facing, as other countries have, quite a bit of disruption to the global medicines market after President Trump introduced his most favoured nation policy for medicines pricing. And this is something we're engaging with industry about very closely, but also with patient groups who are bearing the brunt of some of the decisions that medicines companies are taking. Only a few weeks ago, we had to deal with the withdrawal of 2 very important drugs for multiple sclerosis and put in place a process to preserve them on the PBS, which we have done to the relief of many, many MS patients who take those drugs. And I know just how distressing the potential withdrawal or the scheduled withdrawal of Zoladex from the PBS has been for tens of thousands of women who use that treatment for breast cancer and for endometriosis in particular. So we've been working very hard to make sure that women don't go without an effective treatment. There is an alternative medicine that I understand is clinically basically equivalent to Zoladex that's being considered very urgently by the Pharmaceutical Benefits Advisory Committee called triptorelin. It's used in other parts of the world. The Breast Cancer Network of Australia, the key patient group in this area, has talked about this over the last several days, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that all of those women have access to effective treatments.
Do you have an estimate for the extension, the cost of the extension to the budget of the CHSP, and will there, I guess, be a corresponding decrease in the cost of the support at home program as a result of these changes?
Well, those updates will be provided in the usual way in the mid-year budget update in November or December through MyEFO.
Is this a cost-saving measure, though?
No, this is not a decision that's motivated by a cost-saving measure. And what we're going to have to do, and Sam's going to have to lead this work, is to reform this program as well, because it is quite clear that there is some level of overlap between the services provided under the home support program compared to support at home. There are some differences in co-contribution arrangements that will have to be sorted. I mean, that's why we've decided to extend the existing program for 2 years to allow Sam to lead the reform work that the government has decided will be important to ensure there's not duplication and there is alignment on things like co-contributions.
Given your extension, do you expect that local councils and other providers that had provided the support program, that had no longer been providing this now, will come back on and provide the service again?
Well, for those that might have already left the program, we would very much hope that they'd give second thought to that. For the many providers, both local government and other types of providers across the sector, not-for-profits, community-based organisations, this gives them the certainty to continue providing. Their contracts will be extended without interruption through to 2029. They now know that the government intends for the CHSP program to continue as a standalone program, and we can work, we can collaborate with them about what the future, the long-term future of the program looks like.
You said you were going to begin consultation on making it long-term. When do you expect that to be completed?
We're going to begin consultation this year on what the long-term settings of the program looks like. Minister Butler's just talked about the interrelationship between the future of the CHSP and the future of support at home, how they operate in a complementary manner. and of course how we ensure consistency between the two around things like contributions, for example. So we're going to begin that work immediately. Of course, there are experts all across the sector, providers who deliver these services, and most importantly, older people who rely upon them. We're going to take the time to listen to that expert advice and work through the policy settings for the longer term.
Mr. Butler, just on another matter, the Senate yesterday launched an inquiry into postpartum care. I mean, I just was keen for your response to that, and also, I guess, is there scope for a package ahead of the next election potentially to address these issues that the inquiry might as well?
Yeah, this is work that has been led by the Assistant Minister for Health, Rebecca White, working really closely with Senator Smith in particular, but also Katie Gallagher as the Minister for Women's been involved in developing the terms of reference for this. I think there was good engagement with other parties as well. Our original intention was that this would be focused particularly on postpartum care, birth injuries, a range of other things associated with that area. There's been a lot of advocacy from Birth Trauma Australia, particularly in the last several weeks, which I think has been extraordinarily powerful and really built a case for a deep look at this area of care to support those many, many women. Now, I understand the terms of reference have been expanded a little bit to deal with some associated issues. I can't say enough how important these Senate inquiries can be to build a case for reform. I mean, the big women's health package we delivered last term very much drew on two Senate inquiries, one into reproductive health, the other into perimenopause and menopause. The evidence given, the ideas that were canvassed in those reports were really formative as we developed that women's health package. Now, I don't want to preempt what this report might come up with, but I've got enormous faith in the people who are leading it. They played a critical role in those last two reports, and I think it's well beyond time, as Birth Trauma Australia has indicated, that we have a deep look at this area.
Minister, just on NDIS and thriving kids, Queensland says that the Commonwealth hasn't been able to answer basic questions about definitions. They can't answer what's going to happen to an 8-year-old who turns 9, etc. How are you going in your discussions with the Queensland government? Are you giving them the clarity that they need, and what else could you be giving Queensland to get them to sign on to this?
Well, I think what this needs again is a recognition that this is a shared job. All of the jurisdictions have agreed that we need to work together on developing a definition of mild to moderate support needs. That work is being co-chaired by South Australia and the Commonwealth. It is not Commonwealth work. It is not a negotiation between the Commonwealth and Queensland in particular. It is collective work by all governments, and it is, as I understand it, a draft definition ready to be provided within days to all jurisdictions. That was the subject of some discussion at the meeting of Disability Ministers last Friday. I've seen some remarks by the Queensland Minister in the media that we haven't been sharing enough with them about what the scope of thriving kids might be. Quite some time ago, we shared with all state government the numbers of children we thought would be covered by the Thriving Kids program, so that gives them the ability to think about the scale of the programs that will be delivered at state level. And as I said, this work on definitions has been going for a little while now, but it's not Commonwealth work, it's shared work. And I really want to thank South Australia for co-chairing that work with us, and it's pretty much ready to go. So, I think all other jurisdictions, Labor, Liberal alike, this is not a party political thing. Every other jurisdiction has been able to get on with the work of developing their programs, finalising implementation plans. They know how much money they're getting from the Commonwealth to deliver their programs. It's time that Queensland got on board too.
Just on the escalating option for the classification algorithm, who's going to decide that a case meets extenuating circumstances, and do you expect it to be quite rare?
So the escalation pathway that you're referring to, we announced that we'll pursue legislation to enable that. As I said, of the 250,000 assessments that were conducted in the first half of this year, we had about 0.5% that sought review. We accept that there is a small number of extenuating circumstances or people facing extenuating circumstances around the complexities of their health where the IAT doesn't necessarily provide the appropriate outcome. what we want to do is have another safeguard in place whereby those can be referred through this pathway to ensure that someone, such as the system governor, has the power to... Well, all of the assessment processes involve clinical assessment, so that won't change. So there will, of course, be clinical input into the way that these decisions are made. We're working through the detail of this right now. We would very much like for there to be a bipartisan approach to the way that we implement this. That has been the way that the aged care reforms have been able to be implemented up to this date. To suit, obviously, the needs of older people and to ensure sustainability of that reform program. I remain ambitious that we can get to a point where we get broad agreement around the Parliament about how to get the best outcomes for older people through this escalation pathway.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.